Hey guys, welcome to the second of 4 videos about the assembly of my Prusa i3 Mark III. In these videos you can follow the complete build of my Prusa Mark III. I added timestamps according to the Prusa manual in the description, so you can look for a specific part of the build. In these videos you can see the challenges that I encountered during the build, the mistakes that I made, and I also share a couple of tips and tricks for building. After the build is complete, I will finish with a video where I will share my experiences using the printer. In this video I will assemble the frame and the Y-axis. So we got the Y-axis assembly finished and the basic frame. So the next step is the X-axis. We got a couple of printed parts, motor, linear guide rods and some hardware and bearings. So let's get to it. First we need to press the 2 bearings on each side in the adapter blocks. Let's call it that. First unpack these bearings. Okay. And they have to be pressed in from the top. There's a really small latch here that prevents it from being pushed out. So if you're trying to push them in from this side, the printed part will break. So be aware of that. It's a really tight fit. Alright, that took a bit of effort, but it's in. The second one has to be angled at a 45 degree to the first one. Oh, that's a lot better. I made a little mistake here. There has to be a little space between the bearings. And there isn't any now, so you need to try to get them apart just a little bit. That is really annoying. They're going to try to find a socket that fits snugly to the outer diameter of the bearing, so I won't damage the bearing itself. Alright, a small intermission. I needed to check the bearings myself and the fit. I have these two holders, and the first one that I tried on camera didn't want to cooperate, and the other one was really easy. Sorry that I wasn't able to show you guys. So with a bit of, I had a bit of a talk with it. But anyways, it is finished now, so we can continue now. So as instructed in the manual, the bearings are angled at a 45 degrees to each other to have a more evenly spaced bearing race pattern. So there are a couple of things that I need to insert now. First, on this side, there's a longer size bolt that I have to use in a minute to actually. This bolt is going to be used to tighten the X-axis belt. Just a bit more. Yep. Is that right? Yeah, the longer one. I'm threading it in just up to the point that I can see it in the slot. I've got a nylock washer. It has to be on the other side. Has to be inserted here. I do not really like the fit of these specific nuts. Can I press it in like this? Yeah, just a bit too far away. That has to do. Alright, there it goes. This is the idler pulley for the X-axis. The bolt doesn't really want to fit in, so I'm trying to straighten it up a bit. And I failed. There we go. It took a bit of effort, but it's in. Just as with the other one, check if the pulley is able to freely turn without any obstruction. That's too much. Yep, that's nice. Right, that one is finished. These bearings are what actually connects the X-axis to the extruder. One bearing on the first rod, and on the second rod 2 bearings. And the one with the 2 bearings has to be placed on top. And make sure they're all the way seated in the holes. Okay. You have to be in there a bit further. Almost there. Cool. It's all the way in. Now a little, a few taps for good measure. There are small holes here in the bottom where I can check if the rod is all the way inserted. On this side and also on this side. So now we have to pick up the X-axis motor and the pulley. That's the pulley installed. Oh, my mistake. This one has to be flipped the other way around. That sure is a bit weird. I got one screw here and I need 3 long ones, and I've got 2 long ones and 2 short ones. Fortunately, the printer comes with a bag of spares, so we can pick a couple of them out of that bag. Oh. Get to that one later on. First, I'm going to pick up a third of the screws that I need, the third one. And with those 3, I can now fasten the X-axis motor. Alright. You can see it here. Got all the 3 screws installed. It is a bit weird that I'm not supplied with all the screws that I need. Is it possible that... Weird. I needed 5 of these small square shaped nuts, and those were not all supplied. I only had 4. These have to be inserted now and properly placed, because when it's installed on the x-axis, it's not really accessible anymore then. Alright. And we need 3, a couple of zip ties, 2 to be exact. It works. Oh, one of the nuts fell out. We don't want that. And it fell out again. So there's something I can... Yeah. And that's all in place. Trim this down. And that is the x-axis finished. Alright, we got the y-axis and the frame finished. We got the x-axis now finished. So the next step is to get the z-axis assembly finished. So we're going to actually mount the x-axis to the frame. So the first step for that is attaching the motor mounts to the frame. So let's prepare that. And the motors will be installed on the front side. And the linear rods will be on the outside, so I have to be aware of that, because these are mirrored parts and not actually the same. And I need 3 screws for each one. As always, first insert the screws. Align them with the holes. Thread them in just a few turns and then finish it. And this part is actually really a tight fit. In that case you can try to push the part all the way so the faces meet each other. And if that's not possible, you have to fasten them in a circular pattern. So the angle between the parts won't be too extreme and cause it to bind up. Yeah, this works just fine like this. Almost there. And those are the other two. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. Insert screws, align, thread them in a few turns. Push the part back and finish. Okay, those are in place. Alright, so we now have to remove the lead screw nuts from the lead screw on both motors. And we got a couple of printed parts, these two black ones. And I need to install those on here. It appears that they have to be screwed in place. Let's see if that works. It works. It is a really tight fit though, so this is going to take a while. And almost done. And I'm going to screw it down just before it contacts the motor, so it shouldn't actually contact it. So, got that installed on both. And now we can actually install the motors themselves in the holders that we just placed. Meanwhile, I'm just checking where they want the cables to come out for cable routing later on. So you can see why it's convenient to have it threaded in just a few turns. This way I don't have to hold it all the way, even though it's not completely secured. All right, that one is in place. And now the other one. It's a bit difficult not to hit the frame itself while turning, but it's just possible. Alright, both motors in place. The next step is to install the lead screw nuts in the X-axis assembly that we made previously. Oh. There's a slot here where the nut itself can be put in. It's a bit of a tight fit. It's the same printer as I was having a bit of trouble with before, with the fit of these bearings. So everything is a bit tight on this specific one. My goal here is to have the holes align, but no luck yet. Now it's time for the big guns, the pointy thing. Yeah, that helps. We always need a couple of pointy things in our toolbox for these occasions. A little bit more. Yeah, it's there. No, that's not the right length. Yeah, there it is. And now on the other side. Let's hope this one is easier. Apparently not. But luckily it's easier to access, so maybe just I might be able to press it in with my parallel pliers. Yeah, there it is. Right, that is one. Now the other side. Yep, this one was much easier. And that one as well. So it seems that there is a difference in settings between the printers they use for the parts. Because if I remember correctly, the prints are sorted not by printer, but by part. So one of their printers is only printing the left side of the X-carriage or the right side, and so on. And it seems that the one that was making these parts are obviously set up a bit different, or well, the result is different anyways. Because it was rather obvious how much force it required to put them on that side in, and on this side, this side was much easier. So as you can see, they're all installed now. And now combined with the smooth rods, it's time to install it. Ooh. Yeah. Alright. That's what you get when you don't read the manual and just assume stuff. I got the wrong sizes. I need the long ones in the X-axis carriage and the shorter ones on the Z-axis. So now it's going to be a challenge to disassemble this one. I'm going to try that carefully off camera, and I will be back when I got it disassembled. Alright, disaster averted. It wasn't too much work after all. It only took a couple of minutes, but I wanted to carefully remove the smooth rods from the X-axis assembly and install the correct ones. So now we can move on from where we left off, and that is the installing of the X-axis on the Z-axis. Carefully installing these. On here. Alright, that one is in and this one is in. And now we can carefully turn this down. And we have to make sure that it is aligned correctly. And according to the manual, I have to use the inside top of the frame as a reference. So I'm looking at it straight from the front, and I'm using a really small little bit of space between it to check, and it's correct now. So the next step is securing it in place, and for this I'm going to use 4 screws and 2 printed parts. First I'm going to press in these screws, because it's not really easy to do when got it in place like this. There's a little offset between the screws and the holes for the rods, so you can put a Allen key in between. Like this. Alright, it's threading in. And the other side, it's also threading in. Take this one off again to install the screws. Start them. And then finish it. Make sure that they are seated correctly. Yeah, they are. And remember, it doesn't have to be really tight, just have to be secure. Because these are printed parts, it's easy to break them. So try to start. Right, got that finished now. This is the newer version, yeah. Now I can install the belt. Okay. There's a little slot in here where it can just be pressed in. And make sure it is pushed in all the way back. Okay, that's in. Ooh. Loop it around the motor. Now I'm checking if there is still room left to tighten the belt here at the motor side. And there is. There's a bit of excess belt, but that can be ignored for now. We want it to stay there in case we need to readjust the length of the belt to get it properly, to get a proper amount of tension on it. Okay, that's quite nice already, but obviously too much slop. And now with the motor we can loosen these screws just a bit, so we can further, put a bit of, you can hear it as well. I'm going to release it. It needs too much adjustment on this side for my taste, so I'm going to move the belt up just one more teeth, so it doesn't need as much as it needs now. Alright, cut it in again. Oh, that's not that's not better. Yeah, that's better. I needed one motif. Needed to move over one motif. And I managed to do that right now. Okay. Usually these belts need quite a bit of pre-tension, but we have to remember that it is this printer uses 3D printed parts, and those cannot really cope with the tension that you actually want to put on it. So this feels nice now. So now we have a set length, and we can shorten the belt so it can fit in here. There it is. Nice. There's a bit of explanation for the old type. Oh yeah, I want to do one more thing, and that is align the pulley on the motor so it is nice, it is in line with the rest. It looks nice. So I'm going to lock it in place on this position. And that is the Z-axis assembly finished, if I'm correct. Yeah, that's it. So the next step is the actual print head, the E-axis. So I will have a short break and continue in a few minutes.